episode of Arenda Talks. Today we will talk about Sabrina the Teenage Witch. The show chronicles the adventures of Sabrina Spellman, played by Melissa Joan Hart, a girl who discovers on her 16th birthday that she is a witch. As a novice witch, her spells often go away. Her witch aunts Hilda and Zelda Spellman, played by Caroline Ray and Beth Broderick, representatively until 2002, counsel her on the proper use of her magic and give her moral advice. Additionally, Hilda and Zelda must take care of Salem Saberhagen, voiced over by Nick Bakay, a witch turned into a cat for trying to take over the world. Sabrina's basic premise and geolupiness earned the show comparison to the 1960s television series Bewitched. The show included contemporary pop culture reference, with Sabrina often saying that she liked Britney Spears and No Doubt. It also mentioned human history alongside witch history, such as the Salem witch hunt, which Zelda tells Sabrina was not a hunt for real witches. Hilda mentions to Sabrina in episode 1 that for 2 months a bunny ruled all of England, caused the Witches' Council to turn back time, as if to say that mortals are ignorant and at best. One episode also suggests that Jerry Springer is a witch when he hosted the Jerry Springer Show in the other realm. While in the animated comic book series, the story is set in the fictional town of Greendale. The television show is set in the fictional Boston suburb of Westbridge, Massachusetts. The show spanned 7 years over 7 seasons, though each season was not a year. Season 1, 1996-1997. The pilot episode opens with Sabrina asleep on her 16th birthday, levitating above her bed. In the morning, her aunt reveals to her that she is a witch, but Sabrina does not believe them until she has a magical talk with her father from inside a book, and her father reveals that he is a witch and Sabrina's mother is mortal. It is also revealed that Sabrina cannot see her mother living in Peru, or the latter will be permanently transformed into a ball of wax. After a rough day at school, Sabrina accidentally turns Libby Chesler, the most popular girl but also the meanest girl in school, into a pineapple, fearing that she will appear weird to her crush, Harvey Kinkle. Sabrina asks the Witches' Council to let her relive the day. The first season follows Sabrina as she tries to keep the balance between being a teenager and possessing magical powers. Sabrina's friend Jenny Kelly and her teacher Mr. Poole both exit the series without explanation after the first season. Season 2, 1997-1998. Libby, Sabrina, Harvey and Valerie. At the beginning of the second season, Sabrina turns 17 and learns that she must earn her witch license or otherwise lose her magic abilities. However, the necklace her aunt's warnings to study for the license test and consequently fails it. Sabrina then must attend witch boot camp before she can take a makeup test, which she passed, though she only received a learner permit. Her aunt explained that she will be able to earn her license when she turns 18, when she can pay for the insurance, and that she will be tested throughout the year by a quizmaster, Albert, a witch who instructs other witches earning their license. Also instruct during the season as Sabrina's neurotic friend Valerie and the new school vice principal, Mr. Croft, who finds Sabrina to be very odd, and he had a crush on Hilda. Oh yeah, I remember that. That was very funny. Season 3, 1998-1999. At the beginning of the third season, Sabrina earns her license, but learns that in order to use it, she must solve her family secret. Throughout the season, family members visit her and provide clues. At the end of the season, she solved the family secret, that every member of the Spellman family is born with a twin. The season ends with Sabrina's finally being granted her license. Season 4, 1999-2000. The fourth season begins with the news that Valerie had moved away while Libby has gone to boarding school. As one of the conditions for her witch license, Sabrina is assigned to be a mentor, which is similar to a quizmaster, except that quizmasters are paid. Sabrina charged in Dreamer, a witch newly immigrated from the other realm. A new student, Brad Alcurio, who is also Harvey's best friend, transfers to Sabrina's school. Because Brad has a witch hunter gene, which allow him to turn a witch into a mouse if the witch reveals his or her magic, he takes an instant dislike to Sabrina, who must keep herself and Dreamer from using magic in front of Brad. Sabrina begins working at Bean There, brewed at a coffee shop, where Sabrina meets and is attracted to Josh, a college student and manager of the shop. After she kisses Josh, Harvey breaks up with her, though they soon get back together. Both Dreamer and Brad are written out of the series without explanation over the course of the season. At the end of the season, Harvey reached his spell quota, meaning that no more spells may be used on him and rendering him immune to a memory spell that was recently placed on him. The season ends with Harvey confusing Sabrina over the fact she is a witch. Season 5, 2000-2001. At the beginning of the fifth season, Sabrina starts college at Adams College and moves over out of her aunt's house and into a house with other students at Adams. It is revealed that Harvey broke up with Sabrina following the revelation she was a witch and went to college elsewhere, although he later calls her to make amends. Sabrina's roommate are Morgan Kavanagh, a shadow girl, who is played by Eliza Donovan, Rexy King, played by Salamone Frey, a social feminist, and Miles Goodman, played by Trevor Lesnower, a geek who is obsessed with science fiction and the paranormal. Hilda and Zelda, feeling lonely without Sabrina, find ways to stay close to her. Hilda buys the coffee shop where Sabrina works, and Zelda becomes a professor at Adams and starts dating Sabrina's English professor. The season ends with Sabrina and Josh giving into their feelings and sharing a passionate kiss. Season 6, 2001-2002. At the beginning of the sixth season, Josh and Sabrina get together, but soon face a tough decision when Josh is tempted to move abroad to work as a photographer. More complications ensue when Harvey appears, this time dating Morgan. At the end of the season, Sabrina sacrificed true love to save Hilda after Sabrina sabotaged her relationship. Hilda recovers and is married, but Sabrina is crushed when Josh, Harvey and another attractive waiter announce they are all moving away and will never see her again. The season ends on a cliffhanger, as Sabrina turns to stone and falls to pieces. Season 7, the last season, 2002 and 2003. At the beginning of the 7th season, a final season, Sabrina is put back together after Zelda sacrifices her adult years to save Sabrina. Zelda and Hilda move to the other realm. Miles simply disappeared between seasons without explanation, with Sabrina moving back into the house along with Morgan and Roxy. Sabrina gets a job as a writer for the entertainment magazine Squatch. But this storyline and all of its associated characters are dropped midway through the season. Sabrina then meets Aaron, the man to whom she becomes engaged. In the series final, Sabrina calls off her wedding with Aaron and runs off with her soulmate Harvey at 2:36 p.m., a time of the day when they had first met, a plot point into Season 1 episode A Westbridge Turn. In the last scene of the series, Sabrina and Harvey ride off on his motorcycle to the song Running by No Doubt, Sabrina's favorite band. So, this series, or sitcom, has always been one of my favorite series to watch when I was younger. And so I grew up with it. I am a child of 82, so when this came out, I was like the beginning of a teenager. But although you saw how fake it was, and there were episodes that were not very good, but it was still like, oh, I like to watch it. And I have my favorite characters in it, and well, it was just fun to watch and hilarious to watch because it was so super fake. And although it was so fun, it was really, how can I say this, it's just entertainment value, really. And if you are comparing this with the now Sabrina's Chilling Adventures on Netflix, those are two different series. Because the last one, and that will be, I mentioned, that will be also the subject for next time's episode. Like I said, one is fun, happy, and entertainment. The other one is like a thriller, very cynical. And in the first beginning, I didn't want to watch it. But this was an example exactly like for example, Lucifer. And I didn't want to watch it because I had some like a prejudice thinking about it. But how more I watch it, how more I want to know, okay, what happened next, And I think that makes a good series. But this series of Sabrina Spellman is very, very 90s. And I think everyone can say that because it was just in the beginning of internet and other technology. And so it was really funny to see. So, Sabrina Spellman is a teenager that, of course, just only recently find out that she is a witch, and she doesn't know what to do with it, and she comes to terms with it. And also, what I like to mention, that Sabrina Spellman in this series and in the Netflix series are two different persons. And although I do like the happy version of Sabrina, because it is more light in watching and storyline, the other Sabrina, I don't want to say is creepy or scary. Well, she is scary in a way, But that's because this is really a thriller and drama, and like I said, it's really pinpoint dark. But I think this Sabrina, I mean in the 90s version, I think there's a good way to say that this Sabrina is maybe to show kids that if you were a witch, it's okay, you know? And I don't mean that in an occult way, but being different is in that way not a big thing. Of course it is difficult, especially in the time and society we are living in, but okay. So then we have Aunt Hilda, and she is one of the Spellman sisters that is, I think I always have liked Hilda. She's the one who always bakes, right? Yeah. Hilda, and she also played, by the way, in the other Sabrina Spellman in the Netflix series. Hilda is less rational and the more impulsive one after giving up violin in the 4th season. That was really, really a pity because I always liked those episodes. And but Hilda, and I'm going to say this from occult, she reminds me of a like a earthy witch, cause she always loved to bake and make cookies, etc., and tea. So that's what she reminds me of. And that she actually is buying the coffee shop where Sabrina worked. That would be totally her. And after her marriage at the end of the 6th season, she moved away with her husband. And Hilda returns for the series final. And, you know, her middle name is Silker. And I really, it's stupid, but okay. But, her middle name really is Antoinette. But I thought it was Zelda who gave her the name Silker. Because she isn't, let's say, not that clever as Zelda. And they stated that Hilda was 620 years old. But Sabrina mentioned in season 5 that she celebrated her 650th birthday. So you can see how old they really are, and in one way, it's funny that they give them that age. So then we have, of course, Zelda. And of course she's Sabrina's aunt and Hilda's older sister. But she's also a scientist and college professor. And she is the more rational of the two of the Spellman sisters. And most of the time, Zelda takes the lead in everything. And you could see that she was the more responsible for Sabrina's use of magic, I think. In one way, I never liked her, and especially when I really never liked her. And if you see the Hilda in the Netflix series, they are very different, and I really right away disliked Zelda. Also because she was killing Hilda all the time, and I really didn't like that. And you see now how different really the two series are, and I will talking about that next time a lot more, because the next subject for the next episode is the chilling adventures of Sabrina. And so I'm going to talk a really bit to watch both series. This Zelda, they say on Sabrina's wedding that she is about 658 years old. So that is for a human being very not really imaginable how old you are. But if you are looking to the elves from Lord of the Rings, they are very young in that way. So then we have, of course, the Black Cat Salem. And Salem was always one of my favorite characters. He was always the comical and fun note. And although he still wants to rule the whole world, whatever, it's like Pinky and the Brain, you know? They have those plans, but it always fails. So Salem is a 500-year-old witch who was sentenced to 100 years as a talking cat because of his plans to take over the world. His sentence later had another 50 years added to it for making a second attempt. Besides Sabrina herself, he is the only character to remain for the entire 7th season, and in fact appears in every single episode. But it is true, and like I said, I always liked him. And I think he would be a typical black cat for a witch. Then, of course, we have Sabrina's boyfriend, Harvey. And, you know, I kind of like Harvey, but he is like a little sucker who really not is that strong. And it is always funny that Sabrina always have to save him in a lot of ways. So, yeah, it's I don't know. I do always think that Sabrina was more into Harvey than in her other love interests, and I think they were good together. And the only thing what was weird, some of the episodes with him were very weird. And the one thing I don't like about this series is that there is no proper storyline. Of course, we have first, Sabrina find out that she's a witch, then she needs to get her license, etc., etc. And in one way, I was thinking, no, it's not very good story, but I think that is also like it's more episodic. And it was in that time, in the 90s, it was very common to have sitcoms and series like this, that there's no complete storyline. Although I must say, there were very nice and funny episodes to the whole series. And so, like I said, it's very 90s, and you can't complain by that. And I think that's the thing that I really like to watch this series, is that it's, like I said, it's light, it's funny, it's it's totally, I think, to think of, it's normally you think of witches like, you would say, okay, it's cynical, it's with Satan, etc., etc., etc. But I must say, I really like this series in the way of how easy and how easy to watch, easy to read, and also easy to follow it. And I think that is one thing that we know about the 90s sitcoms and series. It's not very dark. And for example, the Quizmaster, he's hilarious. It was so funny to see how he managed to direct Sabrina through all those trials and etc. So then of course we have Libby. And Libby is Sabrina's arch enemy while she is in high school. And Libby is that spoiled rich girl and often and other ends of Sabrina's spells as she learns to use them, leading Libby to an often call Sabrina a freak or freakster. Libby is also a cheerleader in seen to fancy Sabrina's love interest Harvey and makes many attempts to ask him out. But she was sent to a boarding school following in the end of season 3. I never liked Libby. And Libby was that mean rich girl that everyone knows in high school, and you couldn't... Heck, she was even more spoiled than, what's her name? Cheryl from Riverdale. And although I must say, and I have said this before also in the Riverdale episode, that crossover with Sabrina Spellman and Riverdale was awesome. I really loved those 2 last episodes. I really, really loved those. And I never thought they would do that. It's so just complete different stories, but what happened to in the end, I can imagine that they needed. And it is so funny to put Sabrina in Riverdale with other witches, and so yeah, I really, really like that part. So we also have Michelle, and she only appears in season 1, and she's Sabrina's best friend during the high school. Jenny befriended Sabrina on her first day and also introduced Sabrina to Harvey. She walked into the closet at the Spellman's house and ended up in the other realm. Oh yeah, I remember that. That was funny in a way. But Sabrina and her aunts had to rescue her and make it out as a dream. Jenny is absent from the 2nd season onwards without explanation, and it's never mentioned again. And that's what I don't like about this series. It's always odds and ends. The characters that are disappearing never have a good explanation of why they are disappearing. And maybe that is just how they make it in the 90s, but nowadays you will never come and get away with it. So, guys, the only thing we need to do is rating this series. And if we are looking at the rating of IMDb, that is a 6.7. And myself, I would rate this series as 7.5. Because, yeah, a lot of things, you know. And it's... yeah, it is nice, but not, as I would say, series on today. Well, thank you for watching, guys, of listening, and join me in 2 weeks for this new episode of Arima Talks. And of course, like I said, the next episode is about the chilling adventures of Sabrina Spellman. Well, it's gonna be fun. You can listen, subscribe, and comment to Arenda Talks on the YouTube channel or join the Facebook group. I also like to tell you about my other podcast called Girls Talking Track. And in this Girls Talking Track is a podcast hosted by 2 female trackers who will recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek TNG. All the episodes will be recapping in a chronically following. Girls Talking Track is also to listen, follow, and subscribe on Anchor, Google Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, or on your favorite podcast app. Every 10th episode will be a video episode, so you guys can see us when we talk about the episode. We also have a YouTube channel and a Facebook group where you can comment on the episode. I will see you in 2 weeks.